what's going on in the school and outside the school system, so much more effective and efficient.
And Captain Brown, would you like to comment?
Well, you know, we've worked very closely with the schools, and I think one of the things that we've tried to shy away from is to give the impression that the schools are in any way becoming armed camps, or that the police officers are there solely to be security guards. That's certainly not the idea. We want the students and the faculty of the schools to feel that they're safe in their environment. We want to certainly discourage trespassers and people coming from other schools, some of them from even outside the county, onto our school grounds. The officers are there during the entire course of the school day to discourage that. If something does happen, they're right there that they can respond to or take a report. Sometimes there are things that have even happened in their homes and all that are not found out until the student gets to school. So it's not just there for incidents and all that happen on the school grounds during the school day. And finally, it's important that like Dr. Spillane said, that the officers become role models. Some of them even speak to the government classes and all about certain, constitutional amendments and people's rights and freedoms and search and seizure and what happens if I get a traffic ticket or what's court like. So, I mean, they serve as a valuable resource there.
So they have several roles, the resource, informational, and a deterrent, because I know that some of the viewers are aware of a recent incident over at Jeb Stuart. And so there is a question of increased violence in the schools. So I would think that the officers would have a very, very good role as a deterrent.
Well, we certainly want them there as a deterrent. I think we found that where there's a real will to cause some kind of disruption to a class, and we haven't really seen that, but if somebody's actually targeted somebody else, that they can, there's as much opportunity outside the school day to target somebody as there is during the school day. The incident that you referred to at Stewart that happened in the early part of November, it was just after the end of the school day where somebody in a gang affiliation, obviously it was targeting somebody that was in a rival gang, and some shots were fired. The shots went into the gymnasium area, lodged in the ceiling of the hallway, I believe, and within probably 90 minutes or 2 hours of that incident, mainly because of the vigilance of the school staff in getting the tag number and the description, being able to identify the perpetrator from a school yearbook, to put a name with the face and all, our officers within a couple of hours had that person in custody and under arrest and charged with 3 felonies in that case. So while nobody likes to hear that these things happen, we're very confident that we're able, because of the cooperation, and we get a lot of cooperation from the students. I think we have to realize, and Dr. Spillane, I'm sure, will back me up on this, is we're talking about, 95 out of 100 students are model students. It's just a very small percentage, which of course bring the bad news and all to the forefront, to the media and all, and that require us to get involved.
And I believe that also the point was made that an awful lot of the problem is not from those students within the school system. It's those that are on the outside or are actually in another school system.
Well, and this one last week, I believe, Dr. Johnson had just expelled not too long ago.
We have not unique problems, but part of it is a perception problem. As most people know, that we're a very large school system, the 10th largest in the United States, and we have 140,000 students in our school system. And on any given day in our high schools alone, there are nearly 50,000 students. And 8 or 9 years ago, we had really one expulsion that I can recall, my first year here 9 years ago, for weapons. And last year, it was getting up to 170 expulsions for all kinds of various things, drugs, weapons, and everything else. But this is growing at a very rapid rate. And one thing that I think you'll find your schools not doing is sticking our heads in the sand and saying that, well, it just really doesn't exist. 99.9% of our youngsters are not violent. They're just great kids.
Well, it's a juvenile crime is one that has really been targeted now, and I think that there's a great focus, because if I'm not mistaken, that is the largest segment of the population involved in crime, isn't it?
Well, we've seen an increase over the last 4 or 5 years of an increase in the number of arrests for juveniles in drug-related crimes and in weapons-related crimes. Now that's an increase in the number of arrests of juveniles, not juveniles in school or on school grounds. I'm sure that the incidence of trespassing cases and all has increased as well, as the school administrators have been more willing to, call us, and not just deal with it on their own, because they really need us there to help document these circumstances, because the statistics come in handy later on, and particularly at budget time, and we're looking for more resources and all, but also because it's part of a formal process that the schools use to notify the student and the parents of the student that they're banned from the school property. So it's very important that we get that information documented and those letters sent out.
I shouldn't let this moment go by without thanking you as the supervisor and your colleague supervisors also for providing this service to the school. We have several police officers now in several of our schools, and of course our goal is to have at least one in all of our schools. Not only as a deterrent, but as a teacher, as someone who is helping staff and students as well.